97 है, फिर 96 होता है, फिर 95 होता है, तो लोग परेशान हो जाते हैं कि क्या हो रहा है। एक्चुअली होता कुछ भी नहीं है, बॉडी का शायद मेटाबॉलिज्म ही ऐसा होता है कि थोड़ा टाइम लगता है उसको एडजस्ट करने में। सो सम पीपल हु अंडरस्टैंड दिस साइंस एज यू may be able to deal with it, and also LA anxiety, थोड़ा सा तुम लोगों को ना साइंस भी बतानी चाहिए लोगों को कि ऑक्सीमीटर किस प्रिंसिपल पे काम करता है, क्या कारण है कि उसमें थोड़ी इंस्टेबिलिटी आती है, how does one measure it after maybe a minute of it being there। तो वो थोड़ा सा लोगों बहुत परेशान हो रहे हैं अभी, बहुत से लोग गलती से आ रहे हैं हॉस्पिटल में, जबकि हमको प्रेशर कम करना चाहिए। तो आई विल कम बैक टू द पर्पस ऑफ दिस मीटिंग now, which is the discussion with the life sciences people, and I would like that all of us realize why we are doing this. We are doing this because we are wanting to involve all of you in addressing certain problems that we are facing. So first problem that we are facing is to identify three kinds of sources from our traditional knowledge or our contemporary knowledge or our societal knowledge. One, those plants or other ingredients which can help in inactivating the virus. So antiviral plants, antiviral ingredients, that is our first. Recently you might have discovered that people have used alum, फिटकरी का solution लेकर उससे कुल्ला किया, बहुत कम solution को लोगों ने पिया भी है। मुझे नहीं मालूम उसकी साइंस का कितना अच्छा प्रभाव पड़ेगा, लेकिन ये बहुत सस्ते मटेरियल्स हैं और बहुत ज़्यादा नुकसान भी नहीं करते हैं। मतलब अगर आपने बहुत लो कंसंट्रेशन में लिया तो कोई नुकसान नहीं होगा उससे। दे आर नोन टू बी एंटीबायोटिक। हम लोगों ने पहले हम अपनी स्किन पर जब शेविंग करते थे बचपन में, तो लोगों के पास एंटी कट का कोई लोशन वगैरह नहीं हुआ करता था, आफ्टर शेव नहीं हुआ था उस समय डेवलप हुआ था। वेलकम वेलकम श्री विद्या शक्ति, वेलकम। सो एट दैट टाइम वी हैड टू यूज फिटकरी फॉर कट्स एंड बर्न्स ऑन आवर बॉडी। हम लोग शाम इसके शेव के बाद में फिटकरी से शरीर के ऊपर मल लेते थे और प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाती थी। बहुत साल मेरे पेरेंट्स ने और मेरे ग्रैंड पेरेंट ने वो यूज़ किया है। तो मतलब कि ये वेल नोन ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज है, लेकिन इसको हमने भूल गए और कॉस्टली सॉल्यूशन हमने ले लिए। तो हनीबी नेटवर्क, सृष्टि और ज्ञान तीनों का ये मकसद है कि हम अफोर्डेबल सॉल्यूशंस पैदा करें और ये सॉल्यूशंस आम लोगों को मिल सकें, एक्सेसिबल हो सकें। दैट इज सेकंड गोल। एंड थर्ड, दे शुड बी अवेलेबल आइदर इन DIY फॉर्म, दैट मीन्स डू इट योरसेल्फ फॉर्म, और सम ऑफ यू बिकम एंटरप्रेन्योर्स or encourage your friends to become entrepreneurs who can develop it at low cost and either distribute it or sell it in your neighborhood at very low cost, ताकि लोग जो पैसा नहीं कर सकते, अब ये इंस्ट्रूमेंट जो है इसकी कॉस्ट है करीबन 3000 रुपये ऑक्सीमीटर की कॉस्ट इस वाले की। It should not cost more than few hundred rupees, I think. What do you think, Iftaq?
Yeah, I think it just have the LEDs and the one PCB like.
बस और कुछ नहीं है उसके अंदर।
It should be below 500 rupees.
हाँ, तो मतलब मेरा यही है कि अगर हम लो कॉस्ट में बना सकें, दिस इज द चैलेंज टू टेक्नोलॉजी यूथ ऑफ आवर कंट्री। हमारा जो यूथ है उसको यही चुनौती है। तो पहली चुनौती हम कहेंगे कि लाइफ साइंस के स्टूडेंट्स के लिए है कि ऐसे प्लांट्स, ऐसे इंग्रेडिएंट्स को ढूंढें जिनसे हम वायरस के लोड को कम कर सकते हैं। और जो उनमें से एडिबल प्लांट्स होंगे उसमें हमें क्लिनिकल ट्रायल में नहीं जाना पड़ेगा। जो प्लांट्स आयुर्वेद में शामिल है उसके अंदर हमें क्लिनिकल ट्रायल पर नहीं जाना पड़ेगा। उन प्लांट्स को हम सीधा ट्राई कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि देयर इज अंडर ड्रग कंट्रोल ऑफ इंडिया आयुष की जो मेडिसिन हैं, जो क्रूड ड्रग हैं, उनको क्लिनिकल ट्रायल के थ्रू प्रूव करने की आवश्यकता नहीं पड़ती, बिकॉज दे हैव बीन कंसीडर्ड एज सेफ एंड एप्लीकेबल। क्लिनिकल ट्रायल होना चाहिए, वो बात अलग है, बाद में होना चाहिए। दूसरी प्रॉब्लम कि जो एंटी इन्फ्लेमेटरी जो प्लांट्स हैं, क्योंकि इन्फ्लेमेशन बढ़ता है जब इन्फेक्शन होता है तो, और उस इन्फ्लेमेशन की वजह से बहुत सारी सेकेंडरी कॉम्प्लिकेशंस पैदा होती हैं। अगर खाली इन्फ्लेमेशन है थोड़ा सा और चेस्ट में ओपेसिटी भी आ रही है HT/CRT में स्कैन के अंदर, तो डॉक्टर्स कहते हैं बहुत ज़्यादा परेशान होने की जरूरत नहीं है, उसको जैसे आप कंट्रोल करते हो खांसी को, जुकाम को, उस तरह से कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं। 10-15 दिन में आप ठीक हो जाएंगे। लेकिन लोग परेशान हो जाते हैं जब वो स्कैन कराते हैं और थोड़ा सा एक आता है तो बोलते हैं नहीं अब तो गड़बड़ हो गया, RT-PCR नेगेटिव आ रहा है लेकिन जितना पॉजिटिव, अरे बॉडी को होगा अगर थोड़ा इन्फेक्शन है तो अगर हम उसी को अगली स्टेज में कंट्रोल कर सकें, ऐसे एंटी इन्फ्लेमेटरी प्लांट्स हो, इंग्रेडिएंट्स हो, जिनसे अगली स्टेज पे कंट्रोल कर ले, तो लोग घबराएंगे नहीं, परेशान नहीं होंगे, अपने आप को स्वस्थ कर पाएंगे। तीसरा है कि जो फीवर भी होता है तो कई बार हम लोग क्या करते हैं, अभी डोलो देते हैं। अब डोलो तो डॉक्टर लोग अपने आप ले लेते हैं, मतलब OTC ड्रग है ये तो, या पैरासिटामोल अपने आप ले लेते हैं। तो क्या और कोई ऐसे सोर्स हैं जिनका साइड इफेक्ट कम हो और या ना हो और जिसके लोग अपने फीवर को भी मैनेज कर सकें। ये तीनों चीज़ें हैं जिसके लिए हमें स्टूडेंट से लिस्ट बनवानी है, रिव्यू करवाना है। तो आप सब जिन्होंने भी अप्लाई किया है इसके लिए, वो सब एक रिव्यू भी करेंगे और उसका केस बनाएंगे और उसके लिए प्रोटोकॉल बनाने की कोशिश करेंगे अपने ज्ञान से। आप पढ़ेंगे पेपर्स को, उसमें से देखेंगे, you will read the papers and then find out what is the protocol, what is the concentration, what solvent have they used, and make a spreadsheet. We will share a Google spreadsheet today, which I Google spreadsheet bana lijiye, and which we will have the name of the plant or ingredient, then the concentration in which it is used, dry or which part is used, in what concentration it is used, which solvent is used, how it is extracted, and then against which activity it has been used, which virus it has been used for, or which inflammatory agent has it been used for how long it has been used, in vitro or in vivo trials, what degree of effectiveness was found, how long it took to control the inflammation or infection. All of these will be the column in this spreadsheet. Richa, aap sun rahi hain?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So kindly keep making this spreadsheet so that
Yes,
we
sir.
can see it before the meeting ends, and then correct it if necessary. And people can add some column if there's a need. And this will be shared, and then it will help us to prioritize. So maybe before we organize the BIS in about 10, 15 days time, you would have done some work, and hopefully this work will be built upon with the help of experts in the various lectures we will have. So pandemic requires that when we do skill building, we do little skill building plus capacity building. That means all of you should know what corona is, how does it affect, what are the mutants. So we will have some special lectures also on that, and you will have to understand the science of how one mutant, two mutant, three mutants have been reported now from West Bengal, Delhi, Maharashtra. So how are these three mutants emerging? What are their what are they doing to the vaccine which is designed against certain kind of viral agents? So will it affect? There's a lot of research which is going on this subject.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, my name is Prabhu Dattare. I am from Calcutta.
Yes.
Sir, problem is that section of people's not wearing the mask properly.
Correct.
If you go to the Mavadan area, you find nobody, at least there is single people not carrying any mask. And problem is that, those peoples are belong from Hindu community. They are taking the mask. The problem is that the virus is spreading without the people, those don't have masks. So how do I control if anybody not taking at least one measure to protect this kind of virus?
The point is, there are a lot of things which are not happening in our society. There are a lot of problems which are not being solved.
Yes, sir.
Our focus will be how to solve the problem. Yes,
because
sir. It is so easy to be cynical. It is so easy to be pessimist. It is so easy. निराश होना बहुत आसान है, आशा पैदा करना बहुत मुश्किल काम है प्रभु दत्ता।
Sir, another thing, whatever I have searched from one institute of virology and other papers, I found that it is the main entry point of this virus is from nasal to the brain, because once it is collapsed your brain part, all the part of the body is automatically getting collapsed. No need to control any other parts. And problem is that if we providing some kind of solutions, some kind of 3 or 4 layer type of mask to protect at least one entry point of this virus, because if you touch in the body,
there is no argument, there is no dispute on the need for mask. We should not dispute that, we should not debate that. The mask, double mask is a necessity, no argument about it. Argument.
And sir, I have designed one solutions for spreading this kind of virus from nasal to the brain. And what is my analysis, I found that if I personally giving to the peoples, those are using it and they are getting very better results. They are saying every day.
आप share करिए, उसको share कीजिएगा.
Obviously, sir.
You send it to us.
Obviously, sir, I will be shared with you, sir.
We will certainly study it.
Yes, sir.
The focus today is, I was coming to that next one. First of all, let us recap 3 points that I have said. First is antiviral agents. Second, anti-inflammatory agent. Third, anti-fever agent. These are the 3 things that are generally the part of prescription that doctors are providing today. Now, naturally, these medicines are useful. That is why 99% people are recovering. And so long as that system is working, we should try to take help of that system. But simultaneously, we should continue to make effort of finding out alternative systems of support, because the rate at which infection is spreading, particularly in rural areas, particularly in areas where health infrastructure is weak, we will have to take some actions in very near future to make mass level solutions possible for people to use so that they can take either preventive care or they can take curative care. तो वो प्रॉब्लम है. चौथी पॉइंट में मैं आता हूँ. चौथा पॉइंट है मास्क का. मास्क के ऊपर पहले लोगों ने काफी काम किया, सिंगल क्लॉथ मास्क यूज किया, फिर डबल किया, फिर ट्रिपल किया, फिर एक जो नॉन वोवन फैब्रिक होता है उसका लेयर डाला और उससे काफी फायदा हुआ. अभी डबल मास्क के लिए बोल रहे हैं डॉक्टर्स, जो हेल्थ मिनिस्टर ऑफ हेल्थ और फैमिली वेलफेयर का जो एडवाइस है कि पीपल शुड यूज डबल मास्क. When I go for morning walk, I also use double mask. But then point is that mask is uncomfortable for many people, particularly if you are doing running or you are doing brisk walking. Then sometimes you have to lower down it to get proper gas for the breath. Particularly if there's nobody on the road, you try to take some breath. Question is it not worthwhile to redesign the mask? US government announced in the month of March a competition, a challenge award of $500,000, which ended on 21st April, just last week, for redesigning the mask. The US government, which has 50% population vaccinated, where control has already been achieved to a great extent, where people are now beginning to follow the precautions better than what they were in the previous regime, even there they're thinking of mask redesign. How can we not do it? We should also do it. So that is the fourth problem, what Prof just mentioned, that we need to design better ways, better design of masks so that we are not affected, but we should also not affect others. Remember that. If you use N95, N95 should be used, actually speaking, in the ICU or in the hospital by the doctors and nurses. But if we use it, and if we are affected, if we are carrier, then we are spreading the virus to others because there is a hole in that. There is a possibility of virus escaping from our system to the others. So please remember that we should not just try to save ourselves. Unless all of us are saved, none of us is saved. So this we should remember, that solidarity is the basic mantra of epidemic. Unless we help each other, we don't help ourselves either. So it's very important to be helpful to each other. And for that, we need good design of mask. So these are the 4 questions on which we would like you to do some work in the next week. Any question about the challenges that I have posed, that Honeybee Network, Srishti and Gyan are posing? If you have any question, any elaboration you want, please ask us. Now is the time for you to ask questions. Yes, I'm continuing in English. Sorry, I sometimes drifted into Hindi, but let me summarize in English once again. There are 4 challenges that we are posing. First, to the life sciences people. At 11:30, another 12-13 minutes, we'll move to the joint work which life science and engineering together can do, and then we'll continue with engineering students. That is the plan of the day. So 4 challenges that I have posed. First challenge is antiviral agents. Second is the anti-inflammatory agents. Third is the antipyretic or fever agents. And fourth is the mask redesign. And fifth, if you wish, we can also add immunoboosting agents. That means the agents which can boost our immune. So people are talking about vitamin C, people are talking about vitamin D and A and all of these. But if there are natural ways this can be done, nothing like that. So look at these 5 challenges: antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antipyretic or anti-fever, and then mask, and then
So please write in chat box.
Sorry?
Sir, please write these things in chat box so that we can capture it.
Okay. Richa, can you type it out?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please type it out. All the 4 you can.
First thing would be share across minutes after the meeting. That will not be good in the email.
Anil, you are saying something. I'm not able to hear you.
Sir, the best thing would be to share an email with them, kind of like a minutes at the end of the meeting. That would be best.
No, we can share the meeting. We can share this at, is that right? Mail, this at sachi.org. Is that correct? Nika? Is that right?
Yes,
Sir, you can also
Yes.
you can also write in WhatsApp.
Yeah, we will send it in the WhatsApp also. But we have mentioned the email. All of you can send it there, and then we will discuss among ourselves as to which of the solution needs to be further supported, research. We will not mind, those of you who have access to lab, wherever you are, we will not mind providing small support for procuring material or for making extracts or whatever. We will do whatever best that we can do to support your work. But at this moment, first task is to inventorize whatever knowledge exists around the world for these four not parasitic, anti-fever.
Pyretic.
No, parasitic, please remove it.
So, I think one key thing would be.
I said antipyretic, Pyretic. Antipyretic means anti-fever.
If there is somebody with an Ayurveda background, they have already an inventory of all these things. I do not have relation with Ayurveda.
Sorry, Nitin, what did you say? Nitin, what did you say?
So if anybody has any relation with Ayurveda doctors, they would have some inventory already.
Sorry, there is a list of plants that we already have. We can easily share that. Parasitic means antipyretic. Yeah. So these are four. Now, please remember that this was mentioned very rightly by one of you that from nasal passage, it also goes to brain and creates a lot of brain activity. A lot of papers have come up on that subject. We are at this moment not handling that. Let the doctors handle that. We are only talking about what can we do to understand the available knowledge that our society has, or any society in the world has. It could be African traditional knowledge, it could be Latin American traditional knowledge, it could be Mexican, it could be Chinese, wherever. So if we make an inventory, if all of us try to map 50 to 100 plants or other ingredients, we have almost 70 people at this moment. Of them, I suppose life sciences will be about 60 at least. So 60 into, even if we go to 60, we will have 3,600, of which there will be, let us say, 50% duplicate. So maybe 60% may be duplicate. So at least 1,800 or 1,500 unique sources will be there. Now, out of 1,500, we might assume that 500 or 600 already research is going on in Ayurvedic institution. There will still be 1,000 on which research needs to be done, Nitin. So you understand that there are a lot of leads which may have been ignored because they are not mentioned in Ayurveda, but they may be mentioned in traditional Chinese system of medicine, TCM, or they may be mentioned in Aztec system in Peru, in Mayan knowledge system, which is very old, ancient system, or maybe mentioned in Roman system, or it may be mentioned in Unani system. So yes, we will definitely like to have prior art from different sources. You will find databases which will help you to do that. And what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to find out the ingredient, how it has been used in different publications, against which agent it has been used, what dilution it has, how it has been extracted, how, whether in vitro or in vivo, then has it been tried in human beings? If it has been tried, what has been the finding of the trial? To what extent has it affected? What kind of virus it has affected, etc. And what are the limitation of the study? That also we will mention. So limitation of the study are no less important. So Juni Kashmiri, your father is a doctor, so he will help us in finding out the sources from the Ayurvedic sources. That is very useful. So the purpose of this meeting was that before we start the program in 2 weeks' time, we would like all of you to be engaged in becoming part of a problem-solving community. A problem-solving community doesn't wait for the crisis to become out of control. But the rate at which the problem is expanding today, the rate at which the infections are increasing, we have no choice but to be able to take urgent action. And we will share this list maybe with as many labs as we can, so that if some labs want to do on their own, let them do that. Our purpose is to get solutions. Our purpose is not to compete with people. Our purpose is to collaborate with people. So we have connected with National Institute of Immunology. We are connected with the Regional Center for Biotechnology Studies in Hyderabad. We are going to talk to other labs. Wherever this screening can be possible, we will send the extracts and get a screening done. You could send us, if the plants that are being suggested, you have knowledge of those plants in your neighborhood, you can dry them and send us the sample. We will immediately make extraction in our lab and try to send it to the concerned labs. We will do our best to do that. Or in some cases, we may, if you have facilities, then we will suggest you to make the extract and send it directly to that lab rather than sending it to us and then we send it. So we will try to follow as convenient, as comfortable, as smooth, distributed development of solutions as possible. Anything which strikes out of 1,500, even if one new solution emerges, that will save the humanity. Who knows that? Sometimes we think that only the large experts, sometimes the expertise becomes a barrier in our learning, because we know so much, we don't take into account counterintuitive findings. But when you do look at literature, you will also look at literature for animal medicine. Please remember, the advantage of veterinary medicine, the indigenous veterinary medicine, or the knowledge of people about veterinary medicine or herbal veterinary medicine. Sometimes people use ethno-veterinary medicine. I don't like the term, but in any case, literature, people use it. And the advantage of veterinary medicine as a basis for human solution is that these plants have been tried on large mammals. So if clinical trial were to take place in phase 3, we will not get any surprise. We don't expect any toxicity because these plants have already been used for animal veterinary medicine. So my firm belief is that if we take veterinary medicine plant as the beginning, as a starting point for antiviral, antipyretic, anti-inflammatory, then and immunoboosting, then chances are that we will succeed far more and far better than otherwise. Some of you might know that first coronavirus was reported in poultry actually. And the poultry system developed the most hygienic system. You can't enter the poultry farm without washing your feet and hand. You know that? Some of you might be aware. So the poultry system introduced the hygiene of anyone, the person, and the strangers are not allowed to go into the farm at all. So this was done to prevent virus from our feet or body or hands to spread to the poultry herd, because we know that when virus strikes, the whole herd is, what happened in swine flu, you know what happened in avian bird flu. Large extent of culling took place. Millions of birds were killed. We don't want that to happen if possible. And therefore, it will be very useful if this exercise can be done. So anybody else has any question to ask, any comment to make, please go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Aniket.
So actually, one of my relative who is an Ayurvedic doctor, and I have developed one small medicine to cure, not to cure, but to prevent this virus, actually. And actually, we have tried to few to my relatives and with my with those patients, and actually have given a best results.
Aniket, we will not consider such results. We will not consider. This is unethical. We are not supposed to do human trials without proper knowledge, without proper expertise, without proper scientific scrutiny. You understand? There is an ethics committee which is supposed to check the protocol of the human trials, and without their approval, none of us can do any human trial. So please remember that. So what we can attest, so never make this claim, because it will put you into unnecessary trouble. Best way will be to share whatever you want to share, and then we will do the literature search. You can do literature search yourself on the internet, find out what research has been done on those ingredients, to what extent have they been found effective against the viral infections, and how can one use them safely. So that is the course of action. What we are trying to do here is we are collecting information from all those who want to disclose it, who want to share it. If somebody says, I have a medicine, but I can't disclose, well, thank you. We are not concerned with what you know, because that's not relevant to us. We will only deal with knowledge that is accessible to us, that is accessible to society. We are only talking about open access. We are not talking about secret formulas. Some people have them and they can continue to have them. We have no problem with that, except that we will not deal with that. Our goal is to make knowledge public goods. We are only going to work on open access solutions that people can test, people can evaluate, people can check, people can do trials, and then if they find useful, they can propagate. We will not go against science. Science has a protocol, and we will follow that protocol strictly and religiously. So our goal is therefore to collect as much knowledge as possible from as many sources as possible, because your grandparents, your neighbors, please, Aniket, no discussion on further on what you have said, because we cannot discuss any.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
I'm Dr. Deepa Bhagat. Actually, I was posted in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and what I found that they have too many this plant materials, means this indigenous knowledge, and somewhere it is documented also. One paper is mine also, but it was not published in very high impact factor journal, but in Indian journal indigenous it was there. What I wanted to tell you, Professor Anil sir, that I am an organic chemist and I can do extraction part. Presently I am posted in Bangalore, ICR NBIR, National Bureau of Agricultural Insect Resources. So whatever team you are making, if you could include me for extraction work, being an organic chemist, I can lead towards that chemical structure also, but that is a very far thing. So you can just include me in your team. That's
wonderful, doctor. We welcome you very much. You are not you. We should include. You are included already. You're
okay,
part
thank
of our
you,
team.
Professor.
You're part of our team. You're part of our team.
I have worked.
The email address of Dr. Deepa Bhagat is deepa.bhgt@gmail.com. Is that right?
Yes, Professor. Yes, Professor.
So this is the email address. And any one of you wish to communicate with her, you're welcome. But we will try to coordinate efforts through our lab in Srishti, and Honeybee Network will be very keen to coordinate these efforts. We are also collecting through GAN the traditional knowledge from teachers in different schools and in different sites where we work with the farmers. We are also trying to collect their knowledge. So we will be pooling, but we will definitely need help of Dr. Bhagat and other scholars.
And sir, I can connect all the interested people to the Andaman Nicobar, whosoever scientist is there right now working in this plant materials. They have very good knowledge about this one, Professor. So surely you can just, what you have told is correct only, that whosoever needs a help, they can contact me. Thank you, Professor. Thanks a lot. And this meeting is very much, I mean to say, fruitful and interesting, and it is to the point. So really, I am enjoying this meeting. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now
sir.
Yeah, please go ahead, Shipra.
Good morning, sir. Sir, मैं शिप्रा पांडे from IIT Bombay. सर मेरा जो एक्सपीरियंस है, मेरी जो PhD है वो एसेंशियल ऑयल नैनो इमल्शन पे है फ्रॉम CSIR NBRI. तो मेरा ये सजेशन होगा, जैसे मेरा एंटी फंगल था, तो मेरा सजेशन होगा कि सम एसेंशियल ऑयल वी कैन मेक फॉर नैनो इमल्शन. Like I have synthesized nano emulsion from eucalyptus and peppermint oil, so it gives very good antibacterial, anti-fungal activity. So we can try for antiviral, and also it will be helpful for anti-inflammatory. So we could try for synthesizing nano emulsion formulation.
I have one suggestion to make to Shipra.
Yes,
since you have studied in some top labs, where are you now? You are still at IIT Bombay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, Shipra, so send your email. We must be having it, but nevertheless, send it again. And Deepa, please consider this point, which I'm going to make now, that among various delivery routes, thank you, Rohit, thank you. We will be just starting in a few minutes about the engineering. So just give us a few minutes, Dr. Rohit. Just wait for a few minutes. Let me wrap up this point. That among the various delivery agents, you know that nasal ingestion of Brahmi Grath, for example, my wife used it. The only way blood-brain barrier can be broken is through nasal route.
Yes,
so we must talk to some people who are experts in nasal route delivery system in Ayurveda, and also if there are any, because there are some medicines, you know that there's a B12 available.
Like we have, yes, sir. जैसे कि eucalyptus है, it creates some problem for if we are taking by nasal route.
Okay, so we have to be careful. We have to be very careful.
Yes, sir. So
but you know that eucalyptus oil is put in the water for steam. So how does that work?
सर कुछ टाइम के लिए, बट अगर हम रेगुलर इनहेलेशन करते हैं तो ये प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट करता है. लाइक मेरा जो फॉर्मुलेशन था वो तो प्लांट पे था, बट ऐसे कई सारे एसेंशियल ऑयल हैं, लाइक लेमन ग्रास, पेपरमिंट है, बहुत सारे ऐसे एसेंशियल ऑयल है जो कि एंटीवायरल एक्टिविटी भी अच्छी शो करते हैं. सो हम ऐसा फॉर्मुलेशन बना सकते हैं नैनो इमल्शन बेस्ड, जो हमारा एंटी इंफ्लामेटरी भी डेफिनेटली ये शो करता है, लेमन ग्रास.
Very good.
Professor
Yeah.
Anil, what Shupra or Shubhra? I'm confused a little bit with your name.
Shubhra,
Sorry, dear. So actually, the thing is that what Professor Anil she is suggesting a very good thing. Actually, I'm a nanotechnologist also. I have near about 15 international patent in nanosensors and other field in nanotechnology. She wanted to convert all these into a nano emulsion, and that is a good suggestion. I mean to say, we could take up if we have a laboratory and other facility. So Shubhra, if you need any help, you can take help from me also. I'm using
Yes,
IISc
ma'am.
laboratory.
Wonderful,
I'm using Indian
wonderful.
Institute of Sciences library. But yes, this nano emulsion, definitely it is going to work, Professor.
Wonderful. So you see the knowledge network is emerging, and that was the purpose of this
Yes,
meeting,
ma'am.
that if we can come together, we can pool our knowledge, we can pool our insights. A lot of Jati awardees are here also on the line. So we can do wonders in that process. And I'm so happy that the Honeybee Network philosophy, which believes in cross-pollination, which believes in pooling of ideas, which believes in creating public goods, which believes in openness, is showing results. So that's very nice. That's very nice. My second point was that there is another delivery route on which we have not done much research in the modern science, but the traditional knowledge works, and I use it every day when I do Havan. I will apply butter oil left over in the bowl to my navel. Now, navel root is well known because when children have difficulty, infants have difficulty, mothers often put the nutmeg rubbed on the stone on navel root. And so navel root is known in our culture for thousands of years as a drug delivery agent for removing gas, constipation, and other things. But we have not tried to use, thank you. I know Shiva Gotri and also Krupa, very nice, very nice. We will talk to both of them. Thank you, Anil. We will talk to Kiruba, and we will also talk to, we'll talk to Shiva also. Now, can we also think about, when you do research, look for drug delivery for all the 4 targets that we mentioned through naval route and nasal route both. These are 2 less used routes, but today with the virus that is affecting us, if we can use these 2 routes, my own feeling is, it's an intuitive feeling, I have no argument to make except suggestion, that we should evaluate this. If we find scientific evidence that the certain kinds of agents, even allopathic, can be delivered better through inhalation, maybe instead of injection, we should use inhalation. Then the dispersal of medicine in other part of body will be less, and it will directly go to the target cells in the brain and or in the lungs. So it is a good possibility. We should try. And I mean, there are people in China, they have been applying inhalation. Almost everybody is doing inhalation every day. They are drinking hot water. So Chinese claim, at least some reports from China say that they have claimed that they could control the intensification of the infection through these 2 methods, inhalation and of steam, and also drinking of hot water, warm water. So we need to look at some simple solutions also. Don't ignore simple solutions. Sometimes, because of the training that we have as a scientist, we believe that complex solutions are necessary for complex problem. Nothing could be farther from truth. Sometimes simple solutions are very useful for complex problems. You know that in the fractal design, 1 degree of shift in the angle of a crystal formation can change the whole design. 1 degree, 1 fraction of a degree, not even 1 degree, 1/100th of a degree. If it changes the crystallization process, the shape of the crystal changes. And you know that in snowflake or a crystal, and no 2 snowflakes are alike. So can you imagine how much variation nature deals with? Nature never duplicates itself. Nature deals with huge variation. So we should not mind if the solutions that we come across, quote unquote, are not stable solutions. They are evolving, what is called as autopoietic. They keep on evolving and adjusting to the way target is changing. So can you imagine a release system of a drug which adjusts itself to the degree of infection as it changes? I mean, there are some patches which are supposed to deliver that. Insulin patches are supposed to deliver that there is a sensing of the sugar, and then the release of the medicine is adjusted to that degree, because during the day our levels not remain constant. So what I'm saying is that it will be useful if we don't give too much of antibiotic. There are cases where people have recovered from the hospital, collapsed afterwards because their body had become completely incapable of dealing with the non-ICU environment. They collapse in the open air unfortunately, because they had lived in a very sanitized environment for 4 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever. We don't want that to happen. So we want that our immunity should not be weakened. So whatever you look for immunity boosting or ingredients also, or processes also. I can tell you that when I do my measurement of oxygen, just one deep breath takes it from 97 to 98 or 95 to 96 to 98. Just one deep breath or 2 deep breaths. So it is so quick. Pranayama is so quick, but somehow our advisories don't include it. But I can tell you that you can do an experiment. Those of you who have oximeter at home, just do an experiment and you will find the results. In 1 minute, you will find the difference. So that's very important. The temperature is very important. They've got. So now, if any other question, we will move to the engineering side.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Who is there?
Sir, this is Rohit Pawar.
Rohit, bolo.
Sir, my only, the thing which I wanted to tell you is that the use of a curcumin.
Yes, yes.
Because, the curcumin is there in our country since very ancient time. And
Correct.
it is reported to have so many activities, including antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antipyretic, and so on. So, it is a limitless kind of a thing. So, both the ways, like normally, whenever we drink a normal hot water or warm water with a curcumin, that is also reported to have a very good kind of activity. And also, if you are looking for a nasal delivery, the people are working on a nasal delivery of a curcumin. The only concern being the curcumin, it gives you a stain, the yellow stain. So that's why now people have shifted from curcumin to tetrahydrocurcumin, which is a derivative of curcumin with a much better activity and non-staining. It gives you non-staining.
Thank you, Rohit. This is useful information. We will take into account.
Yes,
and the traditional knowledge, every day morning. In fact, curcumin delivery with fat becomes more effective. That's why it is taken with milk, more effective than water.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So,
yes.
so it is useful knowledge, and we will take that into account. My point is that some of these delivery systems, like with fat or with other such things, we have, even vitamin D3 is supposed to go with the fat better. The mobilization in the body of vitamin D3 takes place better if it is taken with the food, with some fat ingredient, because that is the way the metabolism of D3 works. So we need, now modern science is incorporating some of the lessons, but many lessons have still not been incorporated. Let us keep the mind open. So let me wrap up this part. The people can remain online. We will move towards engineering discussion, but if any question, any comment, any other suggestion on the life science part, please mention now. Anybody? Nishit, you were saying something. Nitin, you were saying something.
Sir, just a comment. So many people said that they have relation to Ayurvedic doctors, and then they can bring in the information. So if you can make like a group, or so that we collect the information even after the call ends. Like there are so many.
Correct. So what we will do, we will make a group of Ayurvedic experts. I will also bring some people from National Institute of Ayurveda, Jaipur, and from All India Institute of Ayurveda. We will get, and from Jamnagar. We'll get some volunteers who will join this group, I'm sure, with my request. And they will keep on telling us the Ayurvedic references on the plants that we will discover. And they will also tell us if they have done their own, they have done any research on use of these plants for viral control or for inflammation or for fever or for boosting of immunity. Yes, we will do that. That's a very good suggestion. And we will keep the two groups separate so that there's no overload of information on the experts, and they will only be required. Thank you, Shubhangi. That's right. Now, if there's no other comment, shall we move to the engineering side? Anybody saying anything?
Mr. Gupta, Professor Anil
Yeah,
Gupta.
Manish, please.
This is Manish from ISC.
Yeah.
Mr. Gupta, just two suggestions. I think one is that on the medicinal database, plant database, we should always include the scientific name of the plant, so that there is no confusion about which particular plant we're talking about.
Correct.
And second thing was that when you are talking about studies, as you have properly mentioned, that it should be scientific studies, so there should always be a control arm so that we are comparing it against. So both these aspects, I think we should try and document as much as possible so that the data which we collect here is useful for further compilation and used by society as well.
Yeah, I will share with you the link of our medicinal plant database, which is having about 200 plants. It's an old database, but nevertheless, it's still useful. It has 200 plants. Here it is. And these plants, we have got the human, animal, and agricultural uses. So all the three are here. I'm putting it here. Manish, please do.
Are you trying to share your screen? I can't see it.
I'm sharing it on the. I'm sharing it to everyone. Okay. So on the chat, I'm sharing on the chat.
Okay.
So honeybee.org/plant-db.php. Now this is a database of medicinal plant, 200 medicinal plants. Very rarely do you find in any database animal, agriculture, and human together. But in this database, we have all the three together. Please understand the limitation of database. The references are at least 10, 15 year old because it was done in 95, 96. So we have not been able to update it as yet because of limitation. But if some people, now what we are going to do, all of you are going to do, that will help us to update it. So please understand that when you look at application for antiviral, and if they are against agriculture, put it in different column. If it is animal, put it in different column. If it is human, put it in different column, so that it will also help us to upload the information that we collect in our database. If it is not there already, we will do that. So there we not only have scientific name, Manish, we also have local names in different languages in India and abroad. So Swahili, what is the name in Swahili for Africa, Kenya, that you will find that name also. Yes, in some places it's Spanish, or in some places Chinese. If we have that, I mean, whatever we could find at that time, because we wanted this database to be useful globally, and we wanted that community should use this database. If I'm right, it also is in, let me just confirm, you can also use this database in 4 languages. So English, Hindi, Gujarati, and Tamil. So if you write, for example, if you search, so wherever the word...
I tried searching for Tulsi, for example. I did not get any results.
No, Tulsi should there. See, basil, if you write, Tulsi, if you write, it should be there. Let me check on English, because now if you write Tulsi under English, you find
it is Tulasi, Tulasi.
No, both are there. I have searched on. I can share with you the screen.
Okay.
I can share with you the screen. It is there. Just see. So it is Tulsi, and are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
So you can see Tulsi and different kinds of Tulsi. Wild Tulsi, spearmint Tulsi, basil, common Tulsi, because there are so many kinds of Tulsi, you know. So there are these are given here, and if I open anything just for you to see, wait a minute.
Details link.
Just one second. Where is it? Let me see. Yeah. So if you take it here, details.
You can click the details, sir.
Yes. Then you will find common name in English, botanical name, Sanskrit name, Indian language name. And then you have etymology, how this word basil evolved from. So basil evolved from, this time is limited, but still I will not mind giving you a little knowledge of that. Then historical account. What is the mythology of basil? Then part use, then human medicinal usage, veterinary medicinal usage, agricultural usage, other uses. So perfumery, dental application, etc., flavorings, synonyms, family, description, common name in India, and then common name in other countries, French, Chinese, Spanish, habitat, rainfall, soil, regional distribution, global distribution, California में भी होती है, New Mexico में होती है, Burma में होती है, harvest, when it is harvested, pest and diseases, chemical composition, and then references, some of the references that we could find at that time, we were put together. All of this knowledge is available. It is open access. Anybody can use this. No restrictions, no password required. This is a small contribution that Honeybee Network has made for all. So this is something that will be of useful. You're right, coconut oil. You know what? This is a very interesting point, Sanchit, you mentioned. I got a mail from Philippines. No, from Malaysia or Philippines, I think Malaysia. So what they are doing Malaysia, they are using virgin coconut oil, and virgin coconut oil, which they are using to increase the immunity, because they found that the lauric acid and one of the derivative of lauric acid helps in controlling the inflammation, and it also works on the virus. So you will find that papers of that kind. So they are now making it as a part of public health advisory. Malaysia is issuing a public health advisory to use virgin coconut oil for managing the COVID attack. So therefore, it's a very interesting point that you mentioned, Sachin, and we should pay attention to such things. As I said, sometimes simple solutions are very effective. What is our role as a scientific community? Our role is to bring science, high quality science on the table, so that people who have limited understanding can also benefit, can also understand, can also contribute to the process, and in some sense add value. Let's say counterintuitive insight can come from a school child also. Counterintuitive insight can come from villager. Counterintuitive insight can come from a worker. I'll give you a small example and then move to the engineering side. This is the last example of life sciences. We were having a whitewash in our house, and one worker's hand got cut. So he went out, and after a few minutes, he came in, and there was no blood. So I said, "What did you do?" "Sir, we have just a little while ago, we had cleaned the cow webs, the spider web. I applied that spider web on my cut, and the blood got coagulated immediately." Now you can go to the website, onto the search, and you can write down spider web, coagulation of blood, and you will find this is one of the fastest coagulant agent for blood. And for some time, we had maintained a salivary gland cell line of spider, because we didn't want to kill the spiders to get that extract, and it was found to be effective. We have not taken it further, but I'm sure with Swati and other joining our lab, we will be able to do that work also. But what I'm trying to say that the worker's knowledge was so insightful. Only after seeing his knowledge, we said, all right, if we ever develop a product, the benefits will go entirely to whitewash community, because they are the ones who brought it to our notice at least. So I'm saying that please talk to the servants, talk to the neighbor, talk to the gardener, talk to the liftman, talk to the driver, talk to the people who work in your lab, attendants, talk to the people who sweep your floor, because never underestimate the power of knowledge which may come from underdogs, which may come from disadvantaged people, which may come from untrained mind. Because after all of us are trying to survive, and some people survive better than us. They live in less protected environments, so their body may have more immunity, maybe. And if so, then no harm in learning from them. So this is about Ravindranath. Your message is important. Siddha medicine, Kabusara, Kodini that you mentioned, and I think we should definitely take it up. And if you can also send us some scientific papers on the subject, on the Siddha medicine, because if you think, and if you have some data to support that it has better availability of zinc and vitamin C, then we should be following that up. Why should we not do that? So, and you are saying that there's a trial now going on for immunological marker. Wonderful. So Manish, in some cases where the advanced research has been done, your help will be very useful to look at the marker level and see, even for gene expression, we can do microarray test, and even the crude extract can be seen as to which genes get activated when
I think with colleagues in IISc, definitely it can be done. Professor Sai, you are already in touch with, and I think other colleagues in bio.
So if you can put together some of the people who are working on microarray, then our screening will become very useful, because we would then know which targets get activated when, let's say, we put X, Y, or Z plant, and then among those targets, which are likely to be useful for our problem at this moment. So there is no harm in using the best science possible. And I'm sure you will have many microarray units where simultaneously you may be able to process maybe 60, 70, 80. I don't know how many samples can you process at a time. So if you get 500 samples, you can probably do that in 1 week or 10 days or 15 days. At least one preliminary screening can be done.
I'll have to find out who is having access to it, but I'm pretty sure it is there in the campus.
So kindly find out. Now we will go to the engineering side. And in engineering side, I will repeat what I told Ifraq earlier, that oximeter has become a very costly unit. Minimum price at the moment is about 2,500 rupees. I bought it in 2,800 rupees buyers. The first one I bought was unstable. It was giving values ranging from 94 to 97. Suddenly, first it will show 97, then it will go to 96, then it will go to 95, then it will go to 94. And after a few minutes, it will come back to 97. Now, that kind of a reading can be unnerving for a patient. So I'm not sure how many of you have observed the same problem with oximeter, but at least I could see that. So then I change it. A new one also has some problem, but not as much problem. So we should find out a low cost, maybe 500 rupees piece, add-on device for phones, at least to begin with a smartphone, but later on if we can develop it for feature phone also, nothing like that. Because standalone will cost a little more. But if we if we can make a standalone again in 500 rupees, why not? But we would need this in millions. So even if we make it DIY, not everybody will be able to assemble it. So what we will have to do is to involve students in ITI, engineering colleges, polytechnic, and train them with the help of experts how to assemble, how to do testing. And yes, it will not meet the regulatory tests that are required, but it will give you at least preliminary information. You can decide whether the situation demands you to go to the doctor immediately. Not everybody can afford to go to the doctor. The nearest hospital may be 60 kilometers, 70 kilometers. When we had done Shodh Yatra in Bastar, in Narayanpur, there was one hospital, not a single doctor there. Only nurses were managing that at that time. Today's situation may be better. So there are situations of that kind. There are some interior districts where doctors are not there. So what do? You need to have some diagnostic tools by which you are not too much behind the science that offers the solution. So first goal is to look at oxygen measurement and see whether we can find reliable, low cost, affordable oxygen measuring devices. And these devices could use various principles, you know better. And if Manish and others should think about it, how can we develop and involve our PhD students and MTech students? If they spend one weekend, I think they will crack the problem. And then we can test it out and make it robust. And and hopefully these will become DIY solutions. If we can also show how these salvage components from old phones can be used for assembling these solutions, nothing like that. Because every family will have not every family, but many families will have old phones. And if some polytechnic or ITI or engineering student wants that phone, nobody will mind it at this moment if its purpose is to deliver a testing solution for this purpose. So first goal is low cost oxygen measuring device. Similarly, we can have a temperature device attached to the phone, a simple strip or a patch or whatever. Although thermometer is very cheap, but you will not be surprised if I tell you that in some villages, there may not be even one thermometer. And nowadays, to use the same thermometer by many people is not safe, given all the problems that we are having. So temperature measurement, simple temperature measurement. And if that can be also done, by all means, it will be very useful. I do not know how costly the thermosensitive sensors are, but some of you might know. So temperature measurement device is the second one, because fever. Third thing is when we do cough. There was a student whom we gave an award, Gathi Award. Can somebody search? Gathi team, can you search quickly? What he did was that they found that the sound of the cough was used to analyze the incidence of infection in the lungs. And they had developed some diagnostic tool. I don't remember a complete detail. But it will be very useful if we had sound sensor. We have a microphone anyway in the phone. So if there's a sound sensor which will sense and convert through algorithm the sound of the cough and give us the status of our lung, nothing like that. So that is the third thing, that how do we convert the sound of the cough, or when we try to induce cough or natural cough, and estimate from that the pulmonary condition. That will be very useful. Professor Anil Vishnu, Asa Koswara does the same thing. They are collecting data set from Professor Sridham Ganpati. Very nice. Anil, we will have to follow up. You will have to follow up with him and connect and convey my request to him that we will at this moment, we will help in doing large scale testing. So our entire team of bridge participants and summer school participants, we will have access to ITI students, we will have access to Polytechnic students, we will have access to engineering college students. Gyan is mobilizing the ITI and Polytechnic students. Sashti has mobilized already the engineering college students. More than 300 applications have come to us. We would like to use their energy not for doing something trivial at this time. Our entire focus, if possible, will be spent on converting their energy, or your energy, the energy of the youth, and see that this energy can be mobilized with the help of mentors like Manish, Vishnu, Nitin. Iftaq, are you there still?
Yes, yeah, I am here.
So, Iftaq, can you, you know about this project, Koswara project of ISC?
Actually, I have not checked, but yeah, I read in some news. I'll check.
Okay. So my suggestion, Iftaq, is that though your area is spectroscopy, so you can probably do much more into the spectral analysis, isn't it? But is it only of light or also sound?
I think for like SPO2, it is definitely light based.
Hello.
So,
sir. Is it the Fourier transform is applicable in this sound analysis? Because
which one?
Fourier transform.
Fourier transform, there'll be some.
So, Professor Anil, if I may come in for a second, this is Manish. So the sound analysis, the acoustics can be done through multiple methods. Fourier analysis is very basic methods there, but there are also things called
FFT,
MFCC or FC. There are other coefficients which can be derived. It's not just based on the Fourier transforms. I think it's called MFCC or MCFF. One form is there, which is particularly for human acoustic sounds. So not just speech, but also the sounds which you make. So my colleague, Professor Prashanta Ghosh, also works in that area. I am not completely aware of what has happened with the Coursera database, but what they were looking for was to also apply the newer technologies of AI and data learning, data analytics-based techniques also to kind of separate out and identify a particular case. I know they were in collaboration with hospitals as well, but certainly other than Fourier transform, there are advanced techniques which also can be used for analysis of the sound signals.
Yeah, so similarly the breathing pattern or breathing sound, just as a stethoscope is used by the doctors, if there are solutions that can be used by the people in the villages or in the slums to, they keep the phone on the breast and or the chest and then measure the breathing sound, and then they can get some signals which are at least indicative of the infection or indicative of the congestion, so that they can go to the next step. At least they know that they need to take steam and water, which of course if they take it even without infection would not do any harm. But our goal is that in what way do we use sound or vibration? Now in the case of breath, probably it is the vibration that they are measuring, not the sound, isn't it, Manish?
In case of stethoscope signal, they are looking at the lung sound itself. It's an acoustic range. Okay. But there is also, I think it's a sound and vibration, because you're talking about low frequency, below 200 hertz kind of range. So it is like the bass of the sound there.
Yes, so Nitin has put a link of cell phone detection system for COVID-19 cough cell phone. My point is, Nitin, that our challenge is that, this is a work that we should also be doing, isn't it? It doesn't require MIT, it doesn't require Harvard, it doesn't require it also requires ISC, it also requires IIT Hyderabad, Iftaq, our institutions and our young people. You see, my question is that if you give challenge to our students and guide them, they will play with 15 different simulations that you will ask them to do that. Some of them will be good in simulations. So what you would have done in, let us say, in 2 months or 3 months, they will do in 3 days or 3 weeks. And we want to do that because when we start the summer school, we want to make a difference this time, that the summer school will be involved both in generating data for some of the things that you are doing already in this line. You understand, Iftaq? Manish, you understand my point? That these students, we can have 100 students, no problem. Yeah. But only thing is that numbers are determined by the mentoring load that we have. So if suppose you say, give me electronics student, 15 electronics student, I'll guide them. And by the end of 3rd week, will get something out. By all means, we'll get you 13 or 15 students or 20 students that you want. We'll get it. We can do it.
Sir, I am always available to help anyone you want.
No, but not available. Now you start planning. What background do you need? Do you need some life science student also? Do you need some physics students or chemistry students also? Do you need the material science students also? Because if we don't have, Chetan, do you have a background description of the student that have applied? Do you know? Do you have a table of that quickly? Jati team? Summer school team?
Sir, I can help with the mechanical engineers.
Okay, Kripal, thank you. So we will be able to quickly analyze, and you know what? The students which have less qualifications, let's say ITI and Polytechnic, they are very hands-on people, particularly in mechanical work, maybe going to the workshop and doing something themselves or getting something fabricated. They can do that work much better because they come from that background. You know, most of them come from working class background. It's only the people from the poor class who go to Polytechnic and ITI. Now, that is a weakness, but that's also a source of strength because they come from families where work with hand is done. So they're career people, you know, they come from artisanal class, many of them, some from farming class. So it will be possible for us to combine the knowledge of the tech students. Some of them may not be hands-on as much as the ITI and Polytechnic would be. So
sir, I think my students...
Yes, sorry, Srividya.
Sir, I think my students are learning biosensors and transducers lab in second year. They are working with the MAX 30100 sensor, which is an oximeter thing, which cost around ₹300. So they know about this pulse oximeter concepts from second year itself, and many of them has developed that as a project also. They have used these sensors in their project also.
But our goal is not to go to 5,000 or 2,000.
Sir, it is 300 rupees, sir.
300, I'm sorry. Very good,
Yes,
very good. So then what I suggest is you could share the design and let other people comment on that design. So we will create a blog today by tonight, and we will, or if some of you want to create a blog, please create a blog and we will upload, load it on our site. We'll create a blog where you can upload the designs and people can comment on them. In the summer school site, we will do that immediately. So it will be possible for you to upload your designs, and then other students, other scholars can comment. Yes, somebody was talking.
So this is Manish here.
Manish, please. Manish.
So I have also shared one open source project also, which is done by somebody else. But I think on the similar lines, we can share a description of any project which students are doing. I think the challenge is
pulse
oximeter. Yeah.
Yes.
What I'm saying is the challenge is not just about getting the design in one number, but also in manufacturing large pieces. So we'll have to figure out some methods by which this can be. Full manufacturing plan for the same can be done, where this decentralized manufacturing can be done with this open source design. I think that will be a useful.
See, my question is, a lot of factories are closed, and here Asha Dave comes into picture. Because Asha and Deval Karia both are Deval has a Gyati awardee, and Asha is corporate affairs head at Bhagwan Mahavir University in Surat. Now in Surat, we have a huge industrial hub, and a lot of workers are sitting at home. If they have to use their skills in fabricating these in a cast that we create, in a circuit that we create, I don't think, Manish, it should be impossible for us to create home-based assembly. Korea did that, Taiwan did it in early years, and we should do that. When Keltron was set up, I'm talking about 40 years ago in Kerala, when Keltron TV was set up, what they used to do, they made various modules. They outsourced them to the women electrician or electronic background people, and they used to assemble these modules at home, and then they were assembled in the factory to make into a complete set. So decentralized electronic fabrication is actually something that in the direction in which we will have to go, because why should home-based jobs be only low skilled? Why can't they be high skilled? After all, the people do jewelry business, you know that jewelers work with very minute fibers and wires and design changes, and when they can make jewelry of highly sophisticated nature, why can't they make a circuit? So this skill is there in our society. We have never tried to repurpose this skill. This
So
is
I
a
think
challenge.
we'll have to just think through that process and look at the skill set which we can expect and design the tools accordingly.
Yes. So Manish, I would like that if you start applying your mind to this problem as to what kind of skills are required for either fabrication or assembly and testing. Three things, all the three things: fabrication, assembly, and testing. All the three things. Not everybody needs to do everything.
Yes. Yeah.
There can be a chain, a supply chain, assembly line, distributed assembly line, where some people will do something and other people do other thing.
Yeah.
And we will request this to be done in the clusters where workers live. So that we don't start from zero. We start with people who have some background in working in electronics industry, or in electronic part industry. So we will begin with those clusters. And Asha, can you start mapping such clusters in Surat where such people live? Or you can talk to the entrepreneurs of the electronic industry in Surat, and then they can tell us where their workers live, and can they be involved in this effort? So Asha will help us in finding out more. We will also contact other people.
Okay.
Were you saying anything, Asha? I can't hear. We can't hear you. Unmute and can't hear you. Are you saying something?
Ma'am, maybe you can chat. I mean, type in the chat.
Oh, you can type in the chat. Yes. Arnav, this idea of monitoring the oximeter value, because that requires a Bluetooth oximeter, and I do not know what doctors will like to do at this moment, because there's a lot of pressure on doctors, and there are a lot of complaints from patients who believe sometimes that oxygen supply is reduced, stop. I mean, it's a messy situation at this moment, so I would not hazard into just now this case. If a hospital wants to track and they might be doing it, I'm not sure whether they monitor the oximeter value of patients on a controlled dashboard. I really have no idea, but somebody among you might know. But I will check up from hospitals whether they do that. And if they don't do that, and if they need that device, that solution that you're talking about, Arnav, then I will connect you to the hospital. I know several hospital people who would be happy to find an application. So before I proceed, any question about, so there were a few other questions that we had. One was oxygen generation. Next was oxygen generation. And oxygen generation and oxygen concentrator. These are two other problems. So we are also thinking that I will reply to you, Asha, just in a minute. So we want Richa, can you post it? First was the two things that you posted. You repeat them, and mention the third one, which is the database of people who are skilled in electronic assembly. And we can find out. And where you have pharma college and nursing college, so we will have also help from the pharma college students to do the prior art search in terms of the plants which are used for viral and other control that we mentioned earlier. So Asha, you please put down your email, and my colleagues will send you what are goals. Were you there from the beginning, or you joined late, Asha? If you were not there, then we will send you the minutes of the meeting today just after an hour or two. So don't worry about that. You will get to know, and then you can mobilize your students to work. Okay, so then we will send you 5 goals we had. We had wanted antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antipyretic, and immunoboosting. These were the 4 kinds of plants or ingredients that we were looking for. Then we also talked about the alternative drug delivery systems, such as naval and nasal route, and research and a review of research on these 2 routes, because these are 2 very effective routes. And for blood-brain barrier, because COVID-19 also attacks after the lungs, or probably simultaneously the brain. And therefore, once it starts affecting the brain, then the whole system collapses. So we need to really get to sort that problem. So that was about that. Now coming back to the oxygen generation, and so we had a meeting with Professor Dasappa, Anand, and Arshdeep, a scholar from ISC, and they had discussed their design of oxygen generation unit. They will take about a week or 10 days more to make a bill of materials, to give us the design, to give us the parameters for evaluation of the design, to give us the test checks and quality control parameters, regulatory requirements, and vendors from whom the different components can be sourced. So their contention was that about 40 to 45% were off-the-shelf standard components, and the remaining half were fabricated. So we will be very keen that if everybody who does the design part also identifies the standard component analysis. Standard component analysis means what can we use off the shelf. So that will reduce our quality control burden and also fabrication burden. Then only what we need to make, sometimes it is only the case that we need to make and everything else is available. So then our job is to assemble them and do quality control test. But quality control test must be given, and we will try that the group which fabricates is not the one which does the testing for final level. So we will like to do the testing for them, and another group will do the testing. We will be very much conscious of what the risks are, but it is a second or third line of defense. What we are saying is wherever our health system cannot reach and the problem need to be addressed immediately, at least the 1% people who need attention of doctors can be identified. Those 1% can be identified, 99% can take care of themselves, they can recover at home. But that the 1% people sometime, if the number increases, because more people are going to hospital than is necessary today, they are occupying beds which actually belong to critical patients. So today, because of anxiety and because of lack of scientific information and lack of confidence in the system, more people are moving to hospital. We don't want that to happen. We want people to do some tests, if possible, at their level, so that they can know that they are in reasonable range and don't rush to the hospital and crowd out the critical people who need a hospital. Please remember that we have about 78,000 to 80,000 ICU beds in the country. And you know how many cases we are getting every day? We're getting about 3 lakh cases every day. Assume that out of these 3 lakh cases, 5% are critical. Now 5% cases are critical. So around 15,000 cases. Is that right? And then you need that many beds every day. How can you get that many beds every day? So we need to work out. Eventually, we will have to move towards monitoring instruments, Bluetooth or Wi-Fi based monitoring instruments by which doctors will get critical parameters of the patient at home and then advise them remotely as to what should they do now when a critical situation comes. Because we just don't have capacity to handle the people who are getting sick at this moment. 3.5 lakh every day, and this number might go up. And mind you, these are the numbers from the tested people. Imagine how many people are not getting tested. At least 5 to 6 times people are not getting tested. So you increase this number. So we have about 1 million or 2 million people who are affected every day, and we will not be able to handle them unless we create facilities, distributed facilities for diagnosis and for at least some degree of control. So yes. So that's a very interesting point you are mentioning, that that visible light tomographic retinal oximetry, where they can check SpO2 from the light. That is very interesting. And if you can do that for HbO2, then we can try using phone flash and photo camera design system to reduce the logistic issue. That will be very helpful. Yes.
I'll check.
Yeah, you want to say something?
The problem with the phone is that it is white light. So white light does not really is as effective as the green light that should be used. So that's definitely one thing to explore.
So my idea is like in my current project, so we are designing one. OCT is usually used in near infrared, right, for the eye diagnosis. For this time, we are using visible light to get the scan of our retinal vessel, and from there we are getting the SO2 actually. So I exactly don't know how we can convert it to SpO2, but I think there should be some way. But if we can do that, then we will get the whole range from 400 to 700, right, from the phone flash. So I have the spectra and everything, but at least we can do the HB. I know, HbO2, we can get it in the visible range. But I'll check if you can do it with some like lower wavelength range, maybe for the HB. Then I think that will solve many issues.
Like you have seen the absorbance curve for the HB oxygenated and deoxygenated hemoglobin. There is a transition which happens, right? So you need to be on the either side of it, or at least one point on the crossover and the other one on the other side.
Yes.
So then only you can take the ratios. Depending on the spectra which you have, we can choose, if as long as the 2 points are available, that should be possible to get to SpO2 from that. The formula will be different, but I think it can be thought through as well.
Yes, like what we have done is like we have the blood from monkey actually. So then we just use it. We just add the HB and like HbO2 like differently. Then we take the spectra.
Okay.
So we get the spectra for HbO2 is around 530, and for HB it is near 400. But I exactly forgot the value actually. But if we exactly get
a spectra will be the curve, right? It will not be just a one value. So it's the ratio of those two which matters rather than just the where the peak is. Peak can be used for having the maximum signal, but if your hardware is limited by the whatever is available in the phone, as long as there is differentiation in the phone sensors, that's possible. But again, this will work for particular phones, but not for all phones, because hardware will vary from phone to phone. Maybe it can be thought of as an add-on to a phone.
Yes, that's the main problem actually.
Yeah.
The phone very well do, but still
I will ask you to write to Iftaq offline, but your saying is very interesting. Iftaq, you can read it and reply to him or on the general line if you wish to reply to him now, or you can reply to him later, whichever way convenient.
Sir, if you have any assistant, if they can copy and paste all the comments that we have, because we have many information in this message section.
I will get it pasted and circulated to all of you. Those of you whose email we already have, no problem. If some of you have joined whose email we don't have, just type your email, and we will get the rough transcript. I don't know whether we have got the Firefly today on this.
If Zoom recording would have that text file that comes after the recording is over, like it will be the text file of the chat. So probably from there we can take it.
Okay, but you can copy it. I mean, Richa, one of you get a team. Can you copy the chat and put it down in a Word file, and then we can mail it to everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, please do that. Please do that. Save it by now, and then we can modify and take it in the next 10 minutes that we have. So now I want to hear from the other engineering students who applied for the summer school as to what are their plans they will like to join. So we have many expert Gyati awardees and faculty members here who were Gyati awardees and now have faculty members at IIT and IC and other places. So we will have very good mentors available to us, provided we have students who are enthusiastic about learning and sharing, and start designing right away, so that there many leads have come today. Yes, go ahead, Krupal.
So, sir, I can help with the oxygen concentrator because I read this mass transfer problem today in the morning, so I can help with that.
Okay, start. So what I suggest is we want some leaders who will take lead for different problems. So just as Krupal would like to work on oxygen concentrator, Krupal, can you put your email here? Yeah. And then what we will like is everybody marks a mail to Krupal with a copy to this summer school ss@sashi.org. Can you put down the summer school email here, please?
Sir, this is Sri Vidya Shakti, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm already working on the oxygen related. As you know, in 2016, I received the GITE award for oxygen conservation device, sir.
Yes.
So
I have sent your mail without your permission to the BIREC team. I have not heard from them. But if we don't hear from them, don't worry.
Yes,
if BIREC doesn't respond, we will find somebody who will respond.
Yes, sir. Now for this short-term oxygen issues, sir, I have some few solutions for it. Like we do have some nitrogen generator plants around in India and even hydrogen plants where the oxygen will be the byproduct. Instead of wasting that oxygen into the air just by leaving that, we could save that in the cylinders and we could transport it to the nearby hospitals. so that the lives can be saved. Like this is the short-term idea which I got, because we can use the existing resource. Because if you want to manufacture an oxygen concentrator, that will take some time. So for the immediate thing, we could look into these resources where oxygen are produced as a byproduct. For example, in Tamil Nadu, in Thoothukudi, the copper plant, you all know the Sterlite. Now they have opened that for oxygen production. Similarly, we could around the India we could use these resources for immediate oxygen to meet the immediate oxygen needs. And I do have a proposal for converting that nitrogen plant into the oxygen production thing, sir. Like if I can work on real time, I could do it in immediate.
As we had asked you, you will have to spell out the kind of minimum financial support that you would need to get some small unit fabricated and then tested, so that we can then use their design to share with everybody who has access to. And you will mention what kind of tools are required to fabricate that unit, what are the standard components that are required, what are the things to be fabricated,
what
are the tests to be done to ensure that the quality is good.
Yes,
all those things you will spell out and tell us what cost it will be, what kind of components you need to buy, and how much cost it will be. Send us a mail on that, and then we get into action right away. We have a small Sustain Innovation Fund from which we can give small grants to teams which are going to work on these fabrication. So we will be very happy to support those groups where with the small investments we can have major results. And we are very keen, therefore, to now.
Sir, one more request from my side is if you could connect me to that such nitrogen generator plants, then that will be also helpful, sir.
Yes, I will arrange. You see, the Dr. Dasappa, Anand, and Arshdeep, three of them from ISC are still working out design. I mean, they're working out the details in a manner that it can become a kind of a kit. They have done a research. Arshdeep's PhD thesis is on that, and he presented very well.
Yes, sir. That was about oxygen concentrator, sir. The thing I was discussing about converting the existing resources, which has all those things already, sir. Like yesterday they were selling zeolite and all those things, no, sir. We don't want to buy that. That plant itself has that thing already. Only thing is like oxygen getting wasted to the environment. We could use some filters and compressors and all those things, oxygen analyzer, sensors to check the purity, all those things. And we could pack that in a cylinder and we'll deliver it to the nearby hospitals.
So Rohit is explaining that, has explained that Dr. Milind Atre, Dean R&D at IIT Bombay, has developed a oxygen generator from nitrogen to oxygen.
Yes, sir. The idea they were sharing is like they're going to replace the existing nitrogen generators CMS thing into a zeolite, sir. I think, according to my proposal, that is not needed. Maybe I'm talking theoretically, but it is possible with the existing nitrogen generators. As it is, we could convert that into an oxygen production unit. We don't want to change any materials inside.
So my suggestion is that we will make the blog active today, and on that blog you start posting your ideas so that everybody will start contributing to those ideas. We will share the blog address tonight, so everybody will start posting. I will talk to our people.
Even I have read that IIT Bombay idea, sir, but there is no need to change of that material, I think.
No, don't say that. You say that wherever that idea works, let them do that work. Wherever that possibility is not there, because nitrogen plant is not there everywhere. It's only in some places. So at this moment, we will not argue against any solution. We will argue for adding solution. Because why should we talk about some solution may not be? That solution is meeting need of those who have nitrogen plant but want to produce oxygen. Let it remain for that. We focus on problems where people may not have nitrogen plant and still want to find a solution.
Yes, sir. Like we
now
do have.
Last point I want to come to. Richard, did we forget anything on the engineering side? Did we mention anything? Everything has been mentioned, or you want to add? Did we? Go ahead.
One thing is about why we do not look into electrolysis. Like we look at oxygen concentrators, which require a lot of these vacuum pressure and zeolites, off-the-shelf things. So everybody learned that, if you split water, you get hydrogen and oxygen, but it's not feasible is what people say. So what if you have potassium hydroxide in any water and do electrolysis, you get some amount of.
So we have got some designs of electrolysis.
Yeah.
Very simple with copper and zinc.
Yeah,
cathode
but
anode.
if you had potassium hydroxide, you get more. Like if you use 24-volt battery, which is like 2 car cell batteries, you get good amount of oxygen coming in. I do not know why.
KOH is a little bit.
Yeah.
So may I come in for a second? This is Manish from IISc.
Manish.
So what I learned about this was that the household water supply has some amount of chlorine in it. So chlorine dissociates first before the electrolysis happens. So you will get chlorine-rich supply on the oxygen side, which is dangerous actually. That's where the danger comes in. But if you have a good purity water, maybe RO water where chlorine amount is limited, maybe that process can be done. Actually, this electrolysis process is what actually the submarines use.
Exactly.
They don't have other supply methods, so they take the water from the salt, from the sea, and electrolyze it. But you have to maintain certain purity of the water. And the point about adding KOH, caustic soda, which is used for in household uses as well, it's a bit dangerous to use, but people have been using it for other purposes. Caustic soda is used for drain cleaning quite often.
Exactly.
So it's not something which people cannot handle. It's something which is handleable. But both the making sure that the water quality is correct is important, and adding KOH will improve the process. I think that's what I've learned in reading about it.
Exactly.
Yes, Nathan. The other ways of oxygen productions are there, like ion transport membrane reactor and the polymer exchange membrane, which you were telling, like electrolysis process, where hydrogen and oxygen will be produced. The safety disposal of hydrogen is the major issue there. And we do have a thing called Mosque, which is used for converting carbon dioxide into oxygen, which is used for Mars thing. When astronauts are there for the research in Mars, they have used this Mosque for converting the carbon dioxide into oxygen, and it could produce like 10 grams of oxygen for 1 hour, and that could be used as a source for them. So like this, all the research is going on. So, but
It's
as
good
far
to
as
kind
now,
of document this properly, and as in put them in context. Can we actually scale it up? Can it be used by patients at home? I think that's another angle which has to be brought in.
That is the challenge. That is the challenge. Manish said it. Our challenge is that while research must continue on various alternatives that we have discussed, but let us say the membrane or other sources, are they accessible to off the shelf? Can they be ordered online? You know, we are getting into a stage when lockdown might take place. I'm not saying don't want to create alarm, but if the infections continue to increase at this rate, different states are mulling over the point. Delhi has already done it, and some other states might. Karnataka has done it. Bengaluru has done it. Some other states might do it. So in that case, the supply chains will be the only means through which we will have to collect the materials.
There it is, a sexy looking hydroxy.
And materials should also be low cost. Materials should also be easily accessible. Materials should also be safe to handle, because when we go for DIY solutions, we don't want to take risk. As Manish just mentioned, that if chlorine is a problem, if it is a water supply from municipal corporation, then chlorine is bound to be there.
So,
yeah.
So I agree that like the chlorine content might be harmful, but usual case is that if you pass it through a water filter,
yes.
like
Well, chlorine does not get removed. Hydrogen sulfide and carbon monoxide get removed by the water, but chlorine I'm not sure, and I don't know whether calcium carbonate can remove that. Whether calcium chloride will precipitate, because
I'll just two things to perspective. One is this this is the basic math, I believe, like 3 kilowatts for 1 hour. And so I was working on this startup like in Kochi, where the whole point was taking the water and splitting it into hydrogen so that it is used as a gas, like to run cooking gas. Like the oxygen was discarded there. So this patent had some designs which makes it more efficient. But I'm still working on that. But you know, if somebody is interested in this line of work, like I'd be happy to work with them, because.
So again, summarize what you're saying. What kind of expertise mention two things, Nathan. Yeah. What kind of skill at undergraduate level you need, and what kind of expertise you need at the postgraduate level?
it's about electrolysis of water and basically building these membranes that can generate hydrogen in a more effective way. Like the basic ones are mostly non-efficient. I think we have a way which is much more efficient. Like with lesser power, you get more more hydrogen and oxygen. This research was based on getting hydrogen and discarding the oxygen. But then, so these were all quasi, like I was working there. So this company failed because they could not really find a viable thing. But I'm just pushing it over here and seeing if, like, we can derive something out of this prior art. And this is the, if you consider the amount of gas that comes, like 24 volt gives this amount of hydrogen. Like this is the amount of hydrogen that comes out from 24 volt. And this is done by potassium hydroxide. Like basically you have steel plates filled with water and you supply 24 volt of power and you get this amount of
tube is attached to the bubbler elbow, and there it
you
is.
get this amount of hydrogen coming in.
Running on 2 car batteries, it'll make about 5 liters per minute.
It makes 5 liters per minute, and my research, my understanding says that a COVID patient requires 6 liters of oxygen per minute. This makes 5 liters per minute. It's a moonshot. It is not a stick.
No, but it is good. You already found one volunteer. Arnav is going to cooperate with you.
Yeah.
Arnav has put down. I'm sure there will be many more who would get motivated.
So I've been working like yesterday on this, like for like a couple days.
But it is good. It is very good that you have taken the lead. Nathan, we do not want to exclude any choice at this moment because this is not the time to make trade-off immediately, because if we had many choices, we could have chosen one. We don't have any choice at this moment. So in fact, every choice that comes up is good for us. And we would not like to make trade-offs, and we will not like to exclude any choice. We will have students with us, and we will like this year's summer school to be dedicated to solving pandemic problem, because if we didn't do that, then history will not forgive us. So it's very important that we develop solutions of a whole range of problems that people are facing. Mask design is one thing that I want to reiterate. Mosque, US government announced $500,000 award, which challenge ended on 21st April. So question is that if that government, which is so powerful, still believes that mosque design needs to be modified, why are we not taking that as a challenge also? So I'm just showing you that Mosque challenge.gov, let me show you that for a minute. So you will see that we want to engage with all the problems. No problem is less important for us. Share screen option, yes. So this is you can see that Mosque Innovation Challenge, building tomorrow's mosque. And you look at that, currently available, untested, physical discomfort with the use, hot and humid environment, contact dermatitis with extended wear, inability to effectively communicate with others using facial expression, speech intelligibility, lack of understanding of device features, fogging of eyeglasses, difficulty finding a device that is proper size. All these problems, all the effects in the mask they have identified, phase 1, phase 2, and this challenge they have announced. What is the airflow that is required? What is the filtration efficiency that is required? What is the inhalation airflow that is required? Other design technologies that are required, and then price, proof of concept, total price per $400,000 divided among 5 winners to be determined later. Exclusion criteria, following concept will not be considered. Prophylactic chemical treatment that are applied to skin, nose, throat, we are not considering them. Contract tracing app, we are not looking at that. NIO such approved respirator design modifying, this is not considered. FDA cleared mask modification, we are not considering those masks, etc., etc. So what they're saying is they are looking at, and this ended on 21st April, if I'm sure somewhere it is mentioned. 21st April was the last date. So they have done this. Now, what about us? We are trying to raise resources, and we will find, this is the judging criteria, technical feasibility, innovation barriers, overall points, how to enter. And this was the announcement. We don't have such a competition in our country, but we can have. Nobody stops us from having a competition for oxygen generation, for oxygen concentrator. And we don't have too much money at this moment. But whatever it will have, I mean, 10, 15 lakh we can spend from our side, not a problem. And this money we will spend to provide small support to all those where small support can make a big difference. Sometimes, you know, you are not looking for too much support, but you're looking for, you want to buy something for which your project doesn't permit or your official grant will not permit. We will supplement there. We will supplement those things where you can add on to your choices with better convenience. So any question about that?
So to add 2 points to Nitin, sir. Nitin, I think the idea was good. Like for every 1.1 ton of hydrogen produced, you'll be getting like nearly 3 to 4 tons of oxygen. That is okay. But in electrolysis process, which you are discussing, the thermal dissociation will happen. For that, even the Mosque sensor, which I have said, for that you have to give nearly 850 or 800 degrees Celsius temperature. So being a biomedical engineer, so that temperature, if you are giving and you are doing this process, I have to think about the patient safety also. So you could think on those things like temperature and all those
But
things.
Srividya, the oxygen generation can take place outside, not
Yes,
in the ward, and oxygen can be delivered in the ward, you know.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir. We
so we
have
can
to
separate the two.
convert all
Yes,
those things,
exactly.
sir.
We can
Yes,
separate
sir.
the two processes. In fact, we
Yes, sir.
also need designs for oxygen storage. I mean, I don't know what are the best ways of storage. So far, our mind is fixed that it can only be stored in a cylinder. Are there other ways of storage? I don't know.
Sir, like you said about how distributed manufacturing, like if we can take water and like as something as simple as potassium hydroxide, everybody at their home can use like
Yeah,
2
potassium
buckets.
hydroxide or sodium hydroxide. Even if you put sodium hydroxide, I mean caustic soda, if you put the caustic soda in the water and put 2 terminals, you can produce oxygen right away.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
With a 12-volt battery and with about 3 to 5 liter, and then if you want to increase the volume, then you have to go 24-watt battery.
You basically have 2 cars running.
That's right, 2 car batteries, and then you're in the business. I agree with you. There are some I've seen some videos also where students have said how to seal the oxygen point so that the oxygen only comes in the pipe and doesn't get released.
Yeah.
But so far as hydrogen is concerned, of course, you have to find an outlet for it at a higher level outside the window so that it doesn't remain in the.
Basically, you make it outside the home. You only
Yes, you make it
oxygen
outside the home and bring the oxygen inside.
And
that is the safest way.
I had one point, like, sorry to take the time,
Yeah,
but
please.
if there is any medical persons, like in hospitals, people make, people breathe through the plastic bags, like, the same air that you exhale, you make them breathe. Like when you have anxiety, you breathe into a plastic cover sort of thing. So we do not want 100% oxygen going into the person. Like even if this small amount of oxygen that we make goes into a bag sort of thing, which like you don't need pressurized oxygen, like you are basically feeding the same oxygen again and again into the person. So
no, that is the problem with mask also. So we are thinking about, I mean, I must mention one point which was not mentioned in the US challenge, that when we exhale, the air which we exhale, and if we are carrier, and if it goes into atmosphere, we are spreading the virus. N95 spreads the virus. It saves me from outside virus. It doesn't save my neighbor or my party or my partner or my spouse or my family from the virus that I'm carrying. So
because
please,
it increases the velocity of air which is coming out.
Yes. So my question is that I mean, doctors can use it because they are not, they know that they're not carrier and so on. But people who don't know whether they are carrier need to be careful about it. So we need to get masks which do not affect others and which do not affect the user, both. It has to be safe for the other person in the society and it has to be safe for us. Both need to be safe. That means the carbon dioxide that we are releasing, either there is something which absorbs it and then in the evening we wash and it gets washed out in some form, either by becoming carbonates or by becoming something, and the adsorbent becomes available. So for example, you use beds in the oxygen generation plant of various adsorbent, and we import zeolite and other such things for that purpose. I do not know what can be low-cost material be used in the mask which will absorb our carbon dioxide that we are releasing. But think around various forms. We think of various designs of mask which will absorb the carbon dioxide that we are releasing and not let us breathe in again so that our oxygen level doesn't get affected.
Sir,
Current masks, yeah.
To add the point to Nitin, sir, he was asking about, I think, oxygen delivery mask. So for each flow rate, we do have different types of masks and nasal cannula. And you see the oxygen mask will be having holes in it. Okay. So whenever you breathe out, you'll be giving out carbon dioxide that you cannot take it again. So it will be vented through that holes. So oxygen will also be like losing through that holes. That's why my first guide award I got for the conservation device, with the help of the controlling system, that during inspiration alone oxygen has to be delivered, during expiration the carbon dioxide will be managed to deliver to the environment successfully. So you do have different types of mask, but you will not rebreathe the thing which you have exhaled again and again. You do have some holes or even if you take a ventilator, you have a separate system for that. During exhalation, you have a separate valve. Through that, it will take your carbon dioxide to the environment. Okay.
Thank you, Vidya. You must form a group. Nitin, you must form a group. Vidya, you must form a group. And some of you will have to then have intergroup exchange. Manish, you can decide which group you will form. Iftaq, you can take leadership for one group. And there are other friends on the line. I may be forgetting their name, but please form groups now. And we will give you the students to mentor and you will guide them. So while we will discuss with them some general issues of design and some issues of unmet need identification and of doing mind mapping and other such thing, some general skills about how to analyze a problem and so on. But when it comes to fabrication from first week onward, we would like them to be mentored by specific guides who will be focused on one solution. And these all students will work on different components of that solution. So if we ask the students, okay, by tomorrow I'm going to discuss this problem, read everything that you can in the night, and tomorrow we are going to have a brainstorming session on that, then that's what the students should do. They should read a lot and they should challenge you so that the ideas can move faster, can grow faster. Many times when we work alone, we are in the loop of ourselves. We get convinced by our own ideas very fast, Nitin. And that helps, that slows down our growth, because we are in love with our ideas. We are all narcissists. And that slows the process of innovation. We need to have people who will question us, who will disagree with us, who will fight with us. So very nice, very nice. Potassium superoxide, which absorb carbon dioxide. Well, I don't know about that, but somebody can comment on it. Whether potassium superoxide, how cheap that material is, how well it is. They're using in submarine. That's interesting, very interesting. Anybody knows about potassium superoxides?
Yeah, submarines use this electrons.
That's right. That the submarine, that's what he's saying. Submarines use it. Is it costly?
No, sir, actually it's very cost friendly. I have read a paper about it and it is really cost friendly. Even I have gone through this.
Okay, very nice. So, Anil, where are you based?
Sir, I'm from MIT University, Noida only.
Noida. So think about it. I mean, if you can put your hands on this superoxide, potassium superoxide, then you and Arnav can discuss it further and see whether our mask can have it in some way. Does it do? What is the absorption? Is it absorb or adsorb?
So actually, it absorbs. It actually converts. It actually absorbs the CO2 and gives it O2.
Then does it have to be disposed of afterwards?
Yes, so actually, after using, we have to dispose, or we have to. I think so. We could recharge it, but you have to go through a process like battery. We usually recycle the battery. In that process, we have to recycle it.
Okay. Yes. So maybe work on it.
It will be used and throw cartridges like that.
But is it possible to use it in the masks?
Yes, so for small, for example, gas mask, just an example. I am not really sure about the design, but for example, in the gas mask, we usually use activated carbon. So instead of it, you could use it like a potassium superoxide based cartridge. So it can actually provide the O2 when we are exhaling. Like it will absorb the CO2 and give O2 at that point. So it will keep the O2 level in the mask.
Very good, very good. That's
for example, if it's like a containment zone, for example, like there are halls where COVID patients are usually kept, what we usually call it. So if, for example, a patient is suffering from O2 deficiency, like his O2 level is decreasing, so we could provide them this mask and we could actually monitor the O2 level inside it.
Wow.
If it's possible.
So in situ generation of oxygen.
Yeah.
Very interesting concept. Very interesting concept. That's
Like
damn
people,
interesting. Nobody has, at least this is not what I have read so far anywhere. Manisha, you have any idea on that? This is a powerful idea.
Again, I think we'll have to look at the full cycle. Is there anything which is getting not replenished? So that's the only aspect which will come in.
So if you have a low level, let us say 90, it is 92, 90, 91. I mean, you are still in the range where you can manipulate your own breathing process. There, if you get an additional ounce of oxygen, then system might become stable very soon. You might not need the regular 5 liter per minute supplies.
That on the medical side, that's anyway graduated. So as your SpO2 goes down, the doctors keep on increasing it. So for patients with very mild, so those
but
between
talk
85
to
and
somebody
90,
who knows about the chemistry of this, Manish. Can you find some colleagues who will know a great deal about potassium superoxide?
Sure.
So this is a problem. This idea I like
superoxides, right? I'll try and find
out. Idea is beautiful. This is a good idea. I love it. That if the mask can generate oxygen for the borderline cases, people who are going to hospital even at 92, obviously 91, whereas the criticality is after 85, 82, or sometimes it goes even below that. But then if supposing the time taken for getting a bed, let's say I'm going to get 5 hours, 6 hours, 1 day, 2 days, I'm not getting bed now. So for 2 days, how do I do? I am not getting a cylinder either. So if I can augment my oxygen supply by such mass, they are at least one level of insurance against calamity. And this seems a sweet idea. I have no idea
so actually the problem of this solution was that the usually problem we are facing is the storage of O2. We have an abundance of O2, the generation plants, but we have a problem of storage it. Like the cryogenic cylinders in India is really low. The cylinders which actually can store the O2. So if we could make a solid material absorb that O2 and deliver it when we need it. So that was my problem statement. And I usually studied in the school days. Like they actually told that the potassium superoxide can actually actually give O2 by breakdown. They actually break down due to the high, like they break down when they absorb CO2. So they give O2 as a byproduct.
But I remember a long time ago research done at BHU where they had used hydride to absorb hydrogen. Vijay, you would like to say something on this, that if instead of absorbing oxygen, let it go into the system, whereas hydrogen that is left out. I mean, when you make oxygen, you will probably separate hydrogen, wouldn't you?
So in this case, we are the hydrogen part is not there. Like the O2 part is been
air and OT is getting reacted. So
yeah,
reaction
actually it's a potassium superoxide, so which has O2 in it. It has O2 in it. As soon as it gets a carbon in its affinity, like whenever the carbon dioxide comes near it, it actually takes it due to its affinity and releases O2.
Okay, understand.
So it absorbs that CO2 and releases O2 as a byproduct. So hydrogen is not a problem over here.
Correct. All right. So I'm saying that there could be materials which will, I don't know whether we need to use some polymers or whatever, but Vijay will share with us. Vijay, put your email. Vijay will.
Yeah, so definitely we could create other materials which can absorb O2 in the same manner, and we could store it as a solid device, like not in gaseous form. We could store it as a solid, and which is easily to transport also. Like for example, in O2 case, we have to follow certain norms so that it doesn't explode.
Correct.
But for the solid state, things, the safety matter goes up because the safety level goes up because there is no chance of explosion due to the extreme pressure. The temperature plays a role, but still.
So solid state oxygen storage is an alternative high storage density at low pressure. So there are some work done on this, and this is a very interesting point that you have mentioned. A lot of research is being done. I can share with you. They are talking about the liquid-free hybrid rockets. That is where they use it. There's a paper of solid-state oxygen storage for compact liquid-free hybrid rockets. So we need some space scientist from ISRO nearby, Manish, somebody from ISRO, those who work on rocket fuels. They will give us.
I worked at Agnikul Cosmos for 2 months, and I was designing locks but I did not complete that process, but I was doing hand calculation for LOX.
For LOX?
LOX, liquid oxygen.
Liquid oxygen. Now the question, what they're saying, I can show you this paper quickly so that you can see that. Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
So solid state oxygen storage for compact liquid free hybrid rockets. And this is, they are saying that gaseous oxygen rockets are an attractive alternative to conventional liquid monopropellant thrusters in air. My point is, this is where we will have to go very wide search. I'm trying to provoke all of you to think as widely as possible. Now, the moment the point came, can we store it in a solid form? Then let us search on solid form. And we find some hope here. Solid state oxygen storage refers to oxygen-rich solid phase chemical compounds that are stable at standard temperature and pressure, but decompose to release oxygen at elevated temperature. Now, question is, how much elevation? Can that raised temperature be tolerated by the nose and face? I have no idea. Or will we have to do it at a double system? So that means there will be a chamber where the solid oxygen will be put. That's where we will have the heating system. And then from there, the oxygen will be inhaled. Now that could be something of that kind, so that we don't do it in the mass, but we do it separately. But if it is done, this is bench scale testing of 5 solid state mixture consisting of lithium perchlorate, lithium peroxide, and metal oxide catalyst. They have documented for each mixture. Results show the solid state oxygen results in a system that is considerably more compact than hybridized. So there are some papers. I mean, the details given here. American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronauts. This paper I will share with you all later on. But try to find this kind of possibilities. And let me stop it. So before we close, anybody wants to add anything, any agenda, any problem that you find at this moment for engineering applications which we should prioritize in our work in summer school or in BIS? Because we have engineering students in the BIS also, bioengineering students. Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, my students are also working on like oxygen analyzer to check the purity of oxygen delivered. That is based on ultrasonic thing. So the company which is manufacturing similar kind of sensor is in Wuhan. I mean, I'm telling about the medical grade. So they are doing it in low cost and indigenous thing based on the ultrasonic kind of light method for checking the purity of oxygen delivered.
All right, so that's very useful. Anybody else has anything to say?
To this team, I could add some points. So the previous team which they were discussing, I think they can look into the to pressurized delivery of this oxygen which they have generated. They can even think about like CPAP machine, wearable CPAP, which is there nowadays, and they could add this as a material in between and they could deliver. Maybe you can look into it. I don't know who have discussed. Anil Gupta.
No. This we will. What you will look into that, and then yes. Anybody else? Vijay has mentioned that he has worked in biosensor water purification, carbon dioxide. So we will take his help. Those of you who need Vijay's help, Vijay.
So Gupta, I would like to connect with Dr. Asha Dave. I don't know if she's still around. On the
Asha, are you around? Let me just check. Otherwise, Asha Dave is there. Asha, please listen to what Manish is saying. Go ahead. Asha is there. Manish, go ahead. Manish, go ahead. Asha is there.
Yeah, I was just saying that I would like to connect with her to. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I was. Hello. Can you just wanted to connect with her to work further on the distributed manufacturing idea in-home manufacturing of SpO2 monitors or other similar devices? So I've shared my email with her on the chat, but if she can, if her, that will be good. Hello.
Sir, you are muted.
We will involve some chambers of commerce. I know the former head of the Surat Chamber of Commerce, and Asha has also been involved in Surat Chamber of Commerce. I think she was heading it or whatever. So we will Asha, work on this issue that Manish has mentioned. You will have to help us in mapping the electronic people who can quickly assemble the SpO2 devices of different kinds. We have got 3 or 4 models already discussed. Iftaq mentioned on an attachment to the phone. Somebody else mentioned an algorithm for the phone. Third was about the kind of a standalone device in 500 rupees, and then there are a few other models that have come up. So there are 3 or 4 ideas that have come up today, and if we can get low cost SPO2 devices manufactured, if there is a need requirement for capital, we'll find that money somehow. So the workers will be compensated for their work because they need money to survive, and this could help combine the interest of the workers and interest of our society at large. And we can then make these available to people who want, either through philanthropic distribution or through. But only thing is that the regulatory approval for that, we will try to have a quick evaluation of this by some of the testing labs. ISC will help us, IIT Hyderabad can help us because they will have all the facilities that are required for testing. So we will develop some kind of testing protocol by which we can say that this meets these standards. There must be some standard that we must comply with, because it's a human health issue.
Indeed,
So
Professor Gupta, we have a testing lab in which we have SPO2 testing equipment as well, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Very good. So then we will have to arrange for these devices to be brought to your lab, test them, and then they go into distribution channel. So let's do that. Let's make it happen. And this will be a very useful contribution. You know that country, first of all, the devices have gone out of stock. Secondly, there's a big asymmetry between poor and the rich. Rich are occupying everything that they can find and all. They have got all the cylinders at home. They're not giving the cylinders back to the supply agencies. So there's a huge shortage of cylinders because a lot of people have hoarded the cylinders at home. Some people have 3-4 cylinders. And you know what they're doing? Because they say, if only one of my family members get affected, I will need this cylinder. Oh my God. So the people who are really needing them are not getting them. So there's a huge hoarding going on, unfortunately. There's a huge black market going on, unfortunately. There are people storing the concentrators on the online they have bought. Prices have gone up. So there's a huge unfortunate divide in the society where people who have resources are monopolizing on everything that's available. This behavior is atrocious, but that's there. Now, if our group, all of us together, as part of Volunteers of Honeybee Network, and this platform can work on open source and DIY solutions, then we will have solved a very important problem. So we will make the WhatsApp group. My request will be keep focus on minimum information to be shared, very precise information in the groups, because everybody's under pressure and tension. So, and then give links to your detailed documentation so that not on the WhatsApp group or in the email, you don't post long mails. You post and give a link, as some of you have done that today. So that people who want to know more about it will go to the link. Link on your blog, link on your site, or link on your page, wherever you want. Wherever you want us to upload, we will do that on our site. We will do that at Gyathi.site, Gyathi.techpedia.in, and we will also do it at ss.summerschool.org, and we will also do it at gyan.org. We will do it at all sites depending upon who can handle which knowledge of what extent. So far as BIS engineering students are concerned, I do not have any idea as to how many of you are from BIS engineering group, but nevertheless, we'll find out. And those people will also need to articulate which kind of products they would like to join hands so that we can allocate you to different mentors who have offered. So Manish, so which you will take the lead for SPO2, is that right?
I would like to look into the manufacturing of it. I think the design, Srividya was already saying that she has got a design and there are a couple of other open source design. We would look at that from a manufacturing point of view and try and take it forward from there.
Iftaq, you would look at smartphone based solutions. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'll check.
And Nitin, you?
I'll look at that oxygen electrolysis part. Like
electrolysis
there's,
part. Okay.
Something that we can do.
Okay. And who else? And Srividya, you will look at?
Oxygen generation and analysis.
Okay. Who else is going to lead something? Ravindranath, is there anything that you're going to lead, or Vijay, you were going to do anything? Please volunteer. Please volunteer.
So I can do the hand calculation simulations. I can do the hand calculation simulations.
Okay.
Because I did my master's in solid mechanics, so I am very good at hand calculation and the simulation.
Okay, very nice. We would need a lot of simulations in this case to estimate this. Before we design to fabricate, we have to do a specification of the model, and the specification requires. So, Richa, can you keep on typing? People who are volunteering for different things, please keep on typing. Keep on typing. Yes, we also need a mail from all of you at jati.acpedia@org. Please mail your backgrounds and your interests and so on. You can do that later also, but just record this gyati.acpedia@org. Some of you will also become our valuable reviewers for Gyati entries in future. So we will. Deval, what will you take lead for, Deval?
Hello. Sir, yes, I can take lead on CAD design, simulation, modeling, and the overall product design as well on how to fabricate it. I can do rapid prototyping, 3D printing as well, along with Manish sir. We have 3D printers in the lab also that we can access and print for rapid testing.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you are a team together. Very nice. Anybody else wants to say?
I could also. Yes, I could help in any electronic part, for example, coding and anything.
Okay.
Hello.
Go ahead, Arnav.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I could help in any part. Like, for example, Nitin sir said he needs someone for electronic coding and anything. So I could help with that. I have a bit of experience in embedded C.
Yeah. Sir is mute. Sir, you're on mute.
Richa mentioned that Arnav will help in Arnav and Krupal both will help in simulations and coding and other things.
Sir, I have some colleagues here in US. Actually, they usually work with the biomedical.
Where are you now? You are in US now?
Yes, yes, sir.
You have left Hyderabad?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Where are you in US?
I am in Nashville, Tennessee.
Which university?
It is Vanderbilt University.
Vanderbilt. Okay, Vanderbilt.
Yes, yeah.
Very nice. Very good.
And I am, sir, in Paris. I am in Paris. Hello?
Yeah. Sir is mute again. Sir, you're on mute.
HSCC or where?
I am in Paris. I am at ESPCI Paris. École Normale Supérieure.
Put down on the chat. Put down on the chat. So, okay, Eftak, you are from Vanderbilt and Krupal from Paris. And from anybody else we need to know today who?
Sir, when is the summer school? Like, is it?
Yeah.
18th of May. 18th of May. To January 6th or 7th. Sorry, June 6th or 7th.
All online. All online.
Online. Because current situation.
So can you like send us the schedule prior,
Yes,
like
we will
1 to
send
2
it.
weeks? Then it will be very helpful for us to.
Yes, now
get the
see,
time
schedule
and
will emerge
everything.
from today's discussion. So I want from you one pager on the kind of team that you want and the kind of work that you want to be done. So if you can
Yes.
send me one page each, Manish, Deval team, Arnav, Nitin, Krupal, and they were. I mean, if you can send us half a page, even is enough as to which are areas. So we will then assign mentors, and we will then ask people to choose the mentors, and then they will work on a focused problem. So while they may attend some lectures, but their focus will be working on one focused problem and look at it from all dimensions of safety and so on. And by 5th or 6th of June, deliver something.
Yes.
So they will do the fabrication, other thing that you will advise from there. But we want a solution in the hand of people by 5th of June, then we will get it tested. We will inquire. We'll get, you know that Sanjay Sharma from MIT has been on our evaluation committee for many years, and we will have some experts of that kind who will give us feedback on what the solutions are. From ISC, we will take some scholars who will help us to give feedback on whatever comes out, so that this summer school will be not just developing prototype or proof of concept, but this will be the one which will lead you to the product. Because already you have done most of you have done some work already. So we want to build upon what you have done. Sri Vidya has done something, other people have done something. So if you have to develop electrolysis, we are seeing some videos of crude kind, but they are not looking at storage issues. They're not looking at purity issues. They're not looking at chlorine issues. They're not looking at, the hazards. They're not looking at the temperature response. So we would like more thorough evaluation of designs, even if a simple electrolysis has to be done. And we need to have some measurement device of what the flow rate of oxygen is, so that we can know how much oxygen is going in the body. Just having oxygen and inhaling it doesn't help. It can be too much for some and too little, and too much is also harmful and too little is also not very helpful. So we need to have good oxygen monitoring devices, measuring devices, flow rate devices. So there are many, many small things will have to be assembled for each solution. Please put down the modules, sub-modules of your design and send us as early as you can. We will like to work on them immediately. If any one of you wants to reach me directly, then you can reach me at here. And but otherwise, if you reach on Gyati, they will pass it on, the mail to me, and I will get all the emails. So thank you so much. Anybody wants to say anything? Last 1 minute or 2 minutes, we can wait. If anybody has anything to say, suggest. Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to thank all the professors and like Asam and Manish sir who came in
Good, sure. They will all here. They're all here to help you. They're all here to help you. I'm so happy with their spirit. Anybody else wants to say anything? Vijay, you want to say anything? Vaibhav, Renu, anybody else wants to say anything?
So
Thanks to
yes,
you, sir. Like still, like you're organizing this thing for like.
In fact, I do it in my self-interest. I want to remain young. The only way I can remain young is by talking to young people.
Exactly,
And
sir.
so I'm trying to ensure my own longevity.
Yeah.
Very
but so
selfish.
it's really wonderful and really inspiring for all of us.
Thank you, Shivangi. Thank you. Vaibhav, you want to say anything? Tejaswini, Vaibhav, Swati is here.
Actually, I have joined late, so I'm not aware about it.
All right, we will send you the proceedings. We will send you the proceedings of the discussion. We have discussed, just to summarize, recap, we have discussed two parts of design today. One is for life sciences, one for engineering.
Okay.
And this is the last part of the talk today. After this, we'll close. So the life sciences, we are looking at 4 major solutions: antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antipyretic, that is fever.
Okay.
And we are also looking at, what was the 4th one, Richa? There was one more.
Immunostimulant and
immunoboosting. So these are the 4 we are looking at life science. You can call it microbial, herbal, all of that. Then
So
there are...
Actually, I have the pharmaceutical background. I did my master in medical device. So where I can work. So I will also happy to work with you.
Very nice, Weber. Very nice. That's very helpful because we need, there are many medical devices. I'm coming to that. In between, I mentioned about mask design. Mask design is common to everybody. And we really need a good mask design, which will take care of the problem that I shared. We will share today in the minutes, we will share the problem that we are facing. How do we absorb or adsorb carbon dioxide in the mask so that it doesn't get circulated again? How do we make sure that we don't spread virus by exhaling it from the so-called filter that we have in N95? And how do we make sure that we are also safe by airborne viruses?
Sure, sir. So actually, I'm Sitarik Bairagati Awadi, and I have formed one startup here in Ahmedabad.
Oh, wonderful.
So
what is the startup doing?
IOTA Design and Innovation Lab. So we are developing blood microsampling device.
Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yes. I remember that you mentioned that.
We have formed a small lab here, so you can. So our lab.
You can also use our lab if you want to sometime work in our lab at Amrapur. Please feel welcome.
Sure,
welcome.
Sir.
Yeah, you should visit that lab and see if there are certain things that you can do in our lab. Please look at that. And where are you getting incubated?
In at Cradle EDI.
EDI, all right. But if you want to have co-incubation at our incubator, we will be happy to have you around.
Sure, sir.
Because we will have microbiologists, we have veterinary microbiologists, we have veterinary scientists, and we have phytochemists, and we have other people, microbiologists. So, and what is called, we have 2 microbiologists. And
okay, sure, sir. I will contact with the doctor. Vijay is there, na?
You can talk to Richa, or you can talk to Megha, or you can talk to Swati. You just send a mail to lab@sashi.org, and it will reach all of them, I think. lab@sristi.org.
Okay.
So in the engineering section, we have identified 5-6 challenges. One is oxygen generation, oxygen storage, oxygen concentrator. We have also looked at oxygen measurement. We have looked at fever measurement, oxygen measurement, and we also looked at the cough sound analysis. We have looked at later on. Yes, we have looked at all this stuff. So these are the issues that we have looked at in engineering. If any other issue you feel like which we should take up, please do send us, and we'll be happy to work on it. Chetan, anything that you want to say? Are you there around?
सर ये जो पूरा लेक्चर है वो YouTube पे लाइव किया हुआ है, तो
डाल दीजिए, लिंक डाल दीजिए प्लीज। पुट द लिंक
दिग्विजय लिंक डाल दे।
नहीं चैट पे डाल दो।
हाँ डाल रहा है सर। हाँ तो कोई देख सकता है।
हाँ प्लीज। So that's good. So you will have the record of it, and then send me the video. We can get it transcribed. मुझे इसका एक ऑडियो फाइल भेज देना।
ठीक है।
हाँ, मेरे को ऑडियो फाइल गूगल ड्राइव पे शेयर कर दो, मैं उसको मैं ट्रांसक्राइब करवा दूंगा, क्योंकि ये पता नहीं क्यों नहीं हुआ आज। फायरफ्लाई को आना चाहिए था, लेकिन नहीं आया किसी वजह से, लेट लगाया होगा मेरे कैलेंडर में। तो ठीक है, we will close now. Thank you so much, everybody. Please remain engaged. We are very happy that you joined at a short notice. We will review the progress after a week. We will share with you the spreadsheet, and we will like you to engage other people you want to, your friends, your colleagues in the faculty, your fellow students, or your own students if you're guiding them. Please feel free to engage them. And I'm so happy that even in the middle of the night, you have joined, because I understand that the US time should be very late. Europe time is almost getting right in the mornings, 4 hours, so it's not too bad. But Shri Vidya will work on also mobile phone-based SPO2 monitor. That's very good. So you can cooperate with Ishaq and a few others who are showing interest. Thank you so much. God bless you. Stay safe. And we look forward to all of you remaining engaged with Honeybee Network, Srishti and Gyan. We welcome your support. We welcome your participation in the summer school. We welcome your participation in BIS, which is Biotechnological Innovation Ignition School, where we will bring students in 2 groups, about 2 weeks' time, in life sciences and engineering. So thank you so much. Thank you, Tejaswini. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Please save the chat, and again, I have to save.
Thank you, sir.
And I'll put the chat, I can put it just now so that you can those of you who want to copy the chat, I will put a link here. I don't know how can I do that. Let me just 1 minute.
Sir, we'll copy the chat and we'll modify it and share with everyone.
No, that is there. I want to do that right away.
ठीक है सर।
हाँ ठीक है, बस मैं जरा इसका चैट की कॉपी डाल दूं, उसके बाद में
मुझे हॉस्पिटल जाना है, इसलिए मैं
जाओ तुम वेट मत करो।